I know everyone's got busy schedules. I'm going to post our minutes up so that you guys can have an opportunity to review. Call the meeting to order. One second. Make sure I have the right minutes up.
I'm also going to put the link in the chat to the Google Drive so everyone can open them as well.
Yep. Okay, guys, put the minutes up for you. I'll scroll down every few moments. So if you want to read them off of my screen, you're welcome to do that, or you can open them from the link Lewis posted into the chat. Okay, all, do we have consensus on the minutes? Yes, thank you, Wendy. Rob, perfect. Okay, great. All right, guys, I'm gonna go run through our agenda for today. So welcome everyone, first and foremost, to our DLT meeting. going to talk to you guys a little bit around just some events and activity summary, just to give you guys a little bit of a heads up on the things that have been happening over the past month that I want to make sure that everyone's aware of. And then I'd like to split us up, if it's okay with everyone, into a review of our district data trends. I want to do it that way rather than me just talking at you for a half hour. If we can we'll split up into 3 groups if you guys are okay with that, so that we can just review a section of the presentation. That way we can move through it a little bit quicker than me just reading it at you. Thank you, Shirley, for the thumbs up on that. And then after that, Gus is going to bring us through some updates on DCEP, the district parent and family engagement policy and district parent policy approval. There is a section in there that we do need to make sure that we're connecting in on in regards to early childhood education. So Gus will be talking to us a little bit about that. And then the review of the monthly calendar that was shared with us during the previous session, or talked about during the previous session with Mr. Zwillick. We'll have the high school superintendent's report, any new business, including from our parent perspective. So bringing us through today's slides. So these are the things that I want to just quickly talk to you about. We did our Fall in Love with Books door decorating contest. We did have three winners, which I'll talk about briefly. I thank the CEC for their connection with that. I do want to just put a bow on the spectacular book events that we did in October. I thought that was really, worked out quite well. Talk about that briefly. District 25 monthly newsletter, making sure that everyone here has access to it and we're sharing. We'll again briefly go over our summary of our Listening to Learn tour. I'll just briefly mention our applications again, just to make sure everyone's on the same page with that. And then some trainings that we've been offering at the district level that I want to make sure all are aware of and encourage others to participate in as the year goes on. So spectacular family book night event. We did two events, one on the 24th and one on the 26th. Both of them were very well attended. All in all, we probably gave about 10,000 books away over the course of those 2 days. So thank you again to all of our partners in that work. New York City Parks Department, Queens Library, our providers, Sussman Education was there donating books, Lois Sharzer and Associates, New York City Kids Rise. So we had, quite a community event. We also had our local precinct was there, supporting just the whole process. And our CEC was also present and supporting both of those events. So we do appreciate it. And I think, the community got a nice opportunity to, aside from getting books, to just be able to connect, seeing kids pull up their blankets with their parents and then sitting on the floor and on the ground in the park was really nice as they started opening up books and reading with one another. So that's what we really want to promote across our schools, that opportunity for our kids to read. Just for everyone to know, monthly newsletter is available, accessible. It's posted every month with all the things happening in our district community. So if you haven't subscribed yourselves, it's a good idea to subscribe. You'll get those monthly updates from our team. Listening to Learn tour, I mentioned this during the last visit. Those have all since been closed out, except with the exception to one more that I do intend to do on Wednesday. This one's a staff state of the district, where I'll be sharing some of the same data that I'm sharing with you today with our staff. We will make it accessible for everyone from 4:30 to 5:30 this coming week, with the goal of making sure that everyone's on the same page with where we are in terms of student performance and goal setting for moving forward, which I'm going to mention to you guys shortly as well. So we had a number of participants in this work, especially our building leaders. I appreciate all of them for opening their doors. Mr. Chabot, Ms. Barisi, Ms. LaFalace, Mr. Leung, Ms. Hewlett, and I'm probably missing someone, and Ms. Grace Lee Sim from 184. So I thank them for opening their doors. Certainly our council member and our senator for joining us as well. Got some really good feedback from them during that time, and I'll share a couple of the areas that we've focused on as a result of the feedback we received in just a moment. Fall in love with decorating books, with fall in love with books door decorating contest. We had a number of our schools participate. The CEC supported us and selected three winners in this door decorating contest, and I will be reaching out to each of these schools with a personal congratulations for participation. Our first prize winner was Class 201, Clifford's First Autumn, from PS 130. So they did an amazing job on their door, and I will be making sure I do a special stop at that class to provide them with a special surprise. Computer class, Leaf Jumpers, PS 24, also an amazing job on their door. This particular teacher was actually one of our representatives for the Big Apple Awards as a teacher last year. She was our Big Apple Award winner, who also created this Leaf Jumpers door decoration this year. So they came in second place, and then PS 32, the little old lady who was not afraid of anything, came in third, and they will also be receiving special recognition from me coming soon. The middle school applications, just to really quickly touch on it, just a reminder that this process is open. Deadline is December 8th, and application offers will be sent out in April 2024. So just making sure that all of our community members are aware that this process is underway for our schools. So things that we've done as a result of the Listening to Learn tour and in process of continuing to do. The special education session that we had done during CEC was very well received, and therefore Nathan has organized to provide 3 more sessions for our parents. There'll be a morning and an evening session on each of these dates to really continue to offer parent support with the IEP process. So on November 21st, this coming next Tuesday, will be around understanding your child's IEP and a review of different sections of the IEP, understanding disability classifications and special education eligibility. That will be in January, and then another one around understanding the Turning 5 process, especially for our families of pre-K children as they get closer and closer to kindergarten. Important that families know what that process is and how they can be used to support their children. Parent support for executive functioning skills. We had our first session on November 9th this past week. We did host that at 129. It was not a huge turnout at all by any stretch, but the few parents that were there provided us with really positive feedback on how they can use the things that they've learned from Wing and Esther. And we also had support from our parent coordinators, both from 129 and 499, to help support Spanish translation. And they offered a great, Wing offered a great deal of insight in terms of how do we make sure that we get our kids on a schedule, to support some real positive habits and remaining organized in the home. So it was really quite positive, something that we will continue to do and build upon. Safety-based training opportunities. We are actually in the process right now. We are in contact with the DLT. We will be organizing dates around bicycle and scooter safety. And Rob, I know this is something that you had shared with me during a previous conversation with CSA, just around concerns for families. So we will be offering that type of training with the Department of Transportation and offering traffic safety workshops for families as well. Sadly, children and being hit by cars is certainly a nightmare for any building leader. I know it was for me when I was a principal. And these things continue to happen. Sometimes not necessarily at the fault of the child, but sometimes it is, because they're not following the rules of the road, crossing maybe perhaps when they're not supposed to, resulting in children getting hurt. So We're going to continue to offer and reach out to offer these types of experiences for families so that our kids are as safe as possible. HMH parent sessions, we will be offering these as the school year goes on. But one of the things that I'm excited about is that schools have been doing this on their own, connecting with children and families at the K-2 and 3 to 5 level, to offer parents with the support necessary to make sure they know how this program works, and more importantly, how they can help their children at home. During my own visits to schools and parent chats that we've been hosting, a number of them have been dedicated for families to give feedback around the HMH program. And thus far, the feedback has been rather positive, especially in terms of the kids coming home, talking to them about the types of books and texts that they're reading. They have been providing really, really positive feedback because they do seem to like the stories and the informational text that they are being exposed to every day. Upcoming events. Tomorrow, I will be at PS24. We're having a Mind Up implementation session with families for the district, really to promote what Mind Up is all about and how it could be used to support positive decision making and social emotional learning health. So that will be held tomorrow at PS24. Diana from the team has organized that with Ms. Singh from the principal of that school to support this work. We'll be doing a Thanks for Giving walk, kind of a turkey trot on Saturday, November 18th at Bound Park. We have publicized this on our district site. I would love for as many community members to be there as possible. The goal will be to provide canned goods to a local pantry. So anyone who comes, we ask that they come with some canned goods. The pantry will be there to take the food right from the space of Bound Park to the pantry to support folks in need over Thanksgiving. So I will mention it again during our staff meeting tomorrow, but parents, I would love for you to continue to push that outreach. It will be from 10 o'clock to 11 on Saturday morning. I will be there nice and early with my kids to engage in that walk myself. So I'm hoping to see you guys there also. This I already just mentioned, November 15th for our staff from 4:30 to 5:30 in the evening. I'll be making sure that I connect with you guys on the district on a larger scale for that. Okay, and just before I get into our data breakdown, parent engagement policy, I'll leave this for when we come back and loop this around with Gus to talk about it. The addition, this little space is something that we will talk about in a few minutes for adoption for our district community. It's really that, identifying that we'll be working with families to support early childhood education and kids getting ready for kindergarten. Part of one of my parent chats was in fact connected to pre-K to make sure that our families had support and outreach from us. So we will be talking about that again in a little while. So we have, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to split us up into groups of 4 or 5, if that's okay. And in each of the rooms, we'll kind of just split up in, to kind of talk about specific sections of data. And I'm going to share with you guys what it is that's present here and what you will see. The first section from slide 20 to slide 46 is around Acadience performance. Acadience is our kindergarten through 2nd grade diagnostic screener for our children in reading. What you will see here is a comparison from 2022 to 2022-23 for the beginning of year assessment compared to 23-24. What I want everyone to be able to do is just kind of give a look-see. I give you a little bit of a brief explanation here before each slide so that you can see what it looks like for each of the subgroups in our district when it comes to performance comparing last year to this year, as well as a space of talking about where we want to be by the end of the year for each of our subgroups. And the reason why I'm sharing this, because I do believe it's important that we establish some interim goals. Where do we want to be by the next administration in February when our kids take that middle of year assessment. So what I'm going to ask that you guys do is just take note of what you see in here, things that it's making you wonder. Also, at the end of each one of our groups, you'll see a breakdown by domain, just so you can compare where we were last year to this year from grade to grade in the areas that they're being assessed in. So we'll do that for K-2. It looks a little bit different for iReady, which is from slides 47 through 69. Similarly, you'll see a comparison 2022, 23 to 23, 24, just to kind of get an idea of where our starting place was in reading as well. You'll again have a little brief description of what it is that is present, but I want you guys to all take a look at it with the idea of then identifying some space of things that we need to continue to pay attention to as a community. And then lastly, there is math. So math in a similar type of space, last year to this year, as well as a little bit of a description for where it is that our kids fell from one year to the next. So I'm going to put you guys into groups. I'm going to stop sharing just for a moment. If you don't have the presentation open, someone from your group will need to have it open. We'll give it a go. If it does not work, then we can try this a different way. Oh, that's weird. Am I still sharing, Lewis? Yeah? Why is that?
Yes, you're sharing.
Oh, that's so odd. Okay, there we go.
Oh, it's good.
Perfect. So I'm going to put into the chat the presentation for today so that you have it. I do ask that one person in your group become the individual who kind of organizes who's going to be looking, presenting the data so that you can all look at it at the same time. I'm going to assign you guys into these different groups. And your group will have the name, whether or not you'll be the Acadians group, the math group, or the iReady group. Just rename these. And our team members that are on here ask that you also participate in this space. We'll assign you randomly. Okay, I'm going to open all the rooms. We'll just spend about 10 minutes in there. Your room is going to be labeled with the area that I would like you to review. So in Acadians will be Beverly, Gus, Lamar, and Rick. In iReady Reading will be Eduardo, Esther, Monique, and Rob. In iReady Math will be Jenny, Lewis, Shirley, and Wendy. Okay, everyone ready? Got the clock on for 10 minutes and it'll bring you guys back. All you're gonna really do is what do you notice inside of it, inside of the information that's present. Okay, I'm gonna open up all those rooms. All right, guys, welcome back. Thanks so much for going through that, I appreciate it. Any noticings or what you saw from any of the groups? So if we can start with the Acadians group, any of you in the early childhood space that wanna quickly share out what you noticed from one year to the next.
I guess I could take this. So one of the things we noticed was in it's slide 22 for the overalls, there's quite a jump between students well below benchmark from kindergarten to first grade, and that's both years. I mean, there is progress for each grade, so that's still good. But I mean, what's causing that disparaging? gap here, going from 2023 from 33 to 50, quite a large jump. And we noticed subgroups that were mostly in the red were SWD and Ls as well.
Thank you, Rick. Anyone else say more from Acadians?
Mike, I wanted to know, have you received feedback on these goals from Central?
No, I have not.
Okay, so that's still pending. You didn't receive any from Zwillik or from Central, correct?
Not that I'm aware. I can double check. I don't think so, though.
All right, so I'll follow up on that. That explains why the DLT members in my group weren't aware of any feedback, because that needs to be part of any discussion. Is our next meeting before December 15th? Does anybody know?
Could look at the dates.
I believe it's the
Next meeting
14th.
is December 11th.
Okay, good.
11th, yeah.
Good, because the 15th is the deadline. So the DLT should be able to finalize the DCEP with the feedback by the 15th.
Yeah, I don't see any feedback from anyone, Gus.
All right, so I'll follow up on that and see what's happening.
Yeah, so any other comments on the data from Acadians? Anything, any other noticings? One of the things that I did see and took note is that the starting place for our kids in early childhood is in a better place than where they were last year. And that was across subgroups. So we, that kind of calls to the idea that, Acadians and that Hegarty and Foundations has been supportive of improvements. And the goal is that we're going to be now year 2 in implementation, that we should see even more progress this coming year. Okay, iReady reading. Any comments?
Principal Marino's gonna take it.
Yeah, so we looked at all of the slides for all the different subgroups, and we were really looking at having conversation around what schools can do to better target those subgroups to make that data look a little bit better. We noticed one of the findings that we saw consistent was that when students got to the upper grades, we saw a lot more of students being identified as 3 or more grades below in 7th and 8th grade. We discussed what are the possible reasons for that, including, the distractions that come along with pre-adolescence and what schools can do to help that. We looked at our English language learners and the challenges that they face compared to our students with disabilities, and how our SWDs actually outperformed our ESL students. Recognizing how much of a challenge it is to just not know the language when you're starting into a school, and what can schools do to help that. We talked about what schools do with that data and how we target professional development, and we target instruction based on the data that we receive through these assessments, through the new module assessments that we're all engaged in, through state assessments, through local data that teachers collect during the school day, soft data. And we had some good questions. Monique had questions around what we can do as a community to help parents help their children. And I pointed out even today at our school, we had a very well-attended HMH parent workshop. So parents have the best opportunity to address concerns at home and help their children with homework and the things that teachers are sharing for them to do.
Awesome. Thanks, Rob. And anyone from the math group want to share?
Sure, I'll talk.
Thank you, Wendy.
No problem. So we noticed that at the beginning of the years, all grades start approximately at the same percentages, and towards the end of the year, there are significant improvements. But in some of the subgroups, these improvements we need to do much more, because even though there's been improvement since the beginning of the year, it's still not enough. We still need to go a little further with these subgroups.
Oh no, it's going to kick me out. Hold on 1 second, guys. Ooh, I almost got kicked out. Okay, I'm here.
Make me the host.
Yeah, let me make you the host, Louis.
And then
'Cause
I'll make you
anytime I get
co-host.
called, guys, I get called on Teams. It knocks me out of Zoom for some reason. So if that happens, someone calls me, I apologize, but I'll try to keep I'll try to keep closing it on them. Hold on 1 second.
Who is it, Dr. Mike? Oh, see, he got kicked out. Thank goodness he made me the host. When the host leaves the meeting ends. So it's coming back. Gotta figure out why that happens to him. Must be the camera or something.
He's back.
Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, so you know what Wendy was saying is right on the button, as well as Rob, is that our starting place year to year is very similar from BOI to BOI. And the real space of this is now, what are we doing between now and the MOI to make sure that we see improvement? So part of our work as a collective district is really around, you know, making sure that if we say that we're at, let's just arguably in one of these areas was 36% of our kids were on or above grade level in reading, you know, and we know that by mid-year it was 46% last year. Where do we want to be this year? You know, what's that high leverage goal that we want to set, that interim goal, to say that here's where we want to be? And that's kind of what we're challenging all of our schools to really think about, is what's that interim space that we want to achieve by the middle of the year? And you know, to me, it's got to even go beyond this idea of 5%. It's got to be that our kids are making progress. You know, whether or not they have met standard, and you know that a child is 3 grade levels or more below, but that we're making progress with all of our kids. You know, so that's something that I want to kind of challenge the team to really think about, is what's that space of progress that we want to set between now and our mid-year benchmark. So what I did make, and what I want to have ready for, you know, for next time we come together, is this little tool that I have kind of organized for us to reflect on as a committee. Is here are a set of goals that we've established for this year, whether it's for HMH and foundations and Hegarty implementation to improve outcomes, or it's around the social emotional learning support to reduce infractions, or MTSS to support reading outcomes. You know, what is it that we've said that we're going to do, right? And what have we been able to accomplish between now and that space of December? What, you know, so that we can start making some adjustments to our practices, you know, to inform improved outcomes by the time we get to mid-year. So we shouldn't be in the same space again mid-year the way that we were last year. That's what the goal is, and that's what all of our schools are really striving for, is making sure that we're making more progress than we did last school year. And I think part of that is through that space of accountability, and that we're holding ourselves accountable to moving towards this end, including us as a district leadership team. You know, what do we see here in terms of outcomes from the things that we said we're going to do, and how much of that has actually happened? So during our next meeting, you know, what I will share is from our theory of action that we've established to implementation, what are some things that we still need to work on, you know, from December on, that we hadn't been able to get accomplished in the first part of the year. Does that make sense? Yeah. So during our next session, this is something that I will bring back to you guys. It's a document that will have some of those interim checks. But for us, it's about, what do we want to see that January, February data to look like? When we have this whole presentation that we just reviewed as a collective team, what are those interim checks? And we can put things that are arbitrary that say, all right, mid-year, we should be 2.5% better than where we were last year, right? But what is it that we really want to say as a district leadership team to say that we're making improvement across our subgroups in a real meaningful way? So that's something I'm going to kind of leave out there for you. And then when we come back together in December, unless some of you have feedback on that now, to share a little bit of your thoughts in terms of what should those interim checks be? What should they look like other than that typical, we're going to grow by 2.5%. As we said, by the end of the year, we'll grow by 5%. What else is it that you guys would like to have inside of those interim checks? Anyone have any comments on that?
Yeah, I have a comment, Mike. These charts and the data and the analysis that you've presented to the DLT in the needs assessment section of your draft DCEP, is that information taken into account, or did you not have that information when you drafted the needs section?
So the needs assessment is based on where we were from last school year, not necessarily the start of this school year.
Okay.
It's very, very similar information. Percentages may change a little bit, but the context is still the same.
Okay, so when you are looking at your feedback on the DCEP, you might want to tweak those needs sections to take this latest information into account. For example, in Arcadian's discussion, the group, and please speak up, my members, they noticed that there was some information about first grade, and there was a discussion about first grade lagging behind on that. So when you're doing your priorities and you're looking at the data, I don't know whether you want to mention first grade or not, but that came up in our discussion. Right, folks?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the things that we notice is that first grade has a larger number of students coming in already 2 or 3 levels behind. Even though kindergarten there was delays in first grade, it just seems to be like a bigger jump. And then in second grade, they seems to have caught up, like they actually it seems
And
so.
I think
Yeah.
what patterns from last year too, kind of like the patterns of the past, kind of helping teach us for the future. Grade 2 last year also started at 66%, but by the end of the year it was lower. So it's also about recognizing the benchmarks that are between, and the one other space of this that we just have to also drill a little bit further down into is that we do have a significant number of English language learners in K1 that are entering and emerging students. So it does create a space of that potential ebb and flow between performance that we have to look a little bit more deeply at, for sure. Okay, any other comments? Okay, so some of the things that we have been doing that I want to just kind of shed some light on for you. We did engage our schools in professional learning during Election Day. The team did an amazing job of organizing sessions for a variety of constituents. We had school aides, we had paras, we had our PCs. We had teachers from across the district engage in a series of training opportunities. And I just want to show you guys what that looks like so you can see how we've been really working towards making sure that there is this understanding of the HMH curriculum and how it can be used. We did a mind up session and responding with SOS That's just for kids that are dealing with stress. School aides and paraprofessionals. We had over 600 people participate in this. So we thank our whole team for organizing this work. It was really well worth it. The feedback we received was really quite positive. Understanding the Acadience assessment data. What do we do with it as teachers once we receive it? Was led by our two AIS points. We did multiple sessions, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. We did an L training on how do we use the resources from the HMH curriculum to support our English language learners. We engaged in some math work around math routines. Math routines super important for our kids to build that the conceptual math understanding. We did small groups and centers for teachers of students in grades K through 2 and 3 to 5. As well as in grades 6 through 8. And we had our parent coordinator training as well on that day. It was really a lot of information that we were able to share. But you can notice that it was all connected to our district goals and supporting outcomes for improvement for our kids in the district. And for our teachers in the district. The other space of this that I do want to kind of point out are the things that, we have also been doing to support learning. We have on-site professional learning support that's being provided to our schools in Hegarty and Foundations. Each of our buildings have been kind of organized based on need. And our AIS coordinators are offering that on-site support in terms of coaching and leadership support for our building leaders. We have a monthly PL for teachers and administrators to support the rollout of HMH for kids in K to 5 and 6 to 8. That's happening every month. We have one coming up at the end of November where we're going to be able to visit some classrooms and support that space of learning. We also are doing that professional learning, as I mentioned, for small groups and centers that I just shared with you. PL for our English language teachers of English language learners. PL for our bilingual programs for our kids that are learning in dual language or transitional bilingual space for Spanish, Mandarin, and Korean. All schools, as I've mentioned to you in the past, are also receiving coaching support from an outside organization that is known as Catapult. Every school is receiving a minimum of 17 coaching sessions in our elementary and a minimum of 11 for our middle school. So there's lots of support that's happening across our buildings to support a positive rollout of curriculum and instruction. All schools are also implementing the end of module assessments across grade levels. This is happening in every single school in District 25, as well as the Foundations assessment for our children in kindergarten to track those phonics skills for our kids in the earliest of ages. So I just wanted to kind of point those things out to you so you can see what it is that we have been organizing thus far. And that concludes my report. I am going to turn over the next portion of this to Gus.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
Sure.
A couple of things. What you just presented is important information and is part of the superintendent's report. Now, I don't have your agenda here in front of me, but in the superintendent's report on the agenda, are you breaking out, for example, these PD sessions? Are they like bullets on the agenda? The reason is that Central is now collecting, and that brings me to my agenda item. Matt Zvilik, I think he introduced the DLT activities, monthly activities to you last meeting. Am I correct about that? Did he actually share the document?
I don't know that he shared the document. He did.
Okay.
He did talk to us about it, though.
So I have if you can share the screen, or I'll share my. Can I share my screen? Let me
Yep.
see. Okay, let me see if I can get my document up. Screen sharing. Yep. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, so this is what it is. I made sure that the superintendent had it this morning, and it's a working draft, as you can see, for the November 2023 meeting. And this is what's going on. It's parallel to what I introduced before I left about CEPs and district leadership teams. Now, school leadership teams. Central is creating a database of all school leadership team meetings, and the district is coordinating, collecting school leadership team information for the New York State Ed Department because they're asking us for it, particularly in terms of Title I schools. In the same way, they're asking for records for every DLT that's held at the district level. I'm going to be collecting that information and making it available to Central. In fact, while I was away, I monitored my emails, and they're already asking for September, October, November. My point person in District 25 is Lewis on all of this. And between Lewis and myself, we'll collect all the meeting agendas and associated documents. Even these P documents that you just mentioned, and that chart was excellent. That determined what you did on election day. What I did, folks, is I created a folder for District 25 within my DLT folders, and I'm going to put in every month anything and everything that you provide to me in terms of your activities, and it's fairly broad. It's also has to do with Title I PAC meetings, so that's a subset. And I already spoke to Esther and Jenny about it. Um, they are going to be giving me that information so I can put it in for PAC information as well. So if you look at utilizing the DLT calendar, it says create. Now you do all of this stuff already. On the PAC, it says should share the Title I information included. What State Ed wants is they want proof that this information is shared among the PACs and with the DLTs. So the only way that we can assure Central and State Ed that all of this is being done is to have as much of a document trail as possible, including any emails that go out. So this is part of the new procedure, and it'll take us, a little while to get it all done routinely. But I'm optimistic. We do everything we're supposed to. In fact, we go above and beyond, in my opinion. So I'm not concerned that we won't have the information. It's just making sure that we have it in the right places to share with Central. So you see here kind of a little overview about utilizing the calendar, and then let's look at the months. Every month, like September, uh, this is what they suggest that we have to do every month. Now, I noticed that you did the bylaws, for example, that was on last month, which is great because that's one of the things that is required that it's done either in September or October. And I'm going to be looking for that bylaws information. And of course, it's there as an agenda item, and everything has to appear in the minutes as well. So this is the task going forward. You see every month, it's quite detailed, and they also have these little links to resources for everything. A key element is finalizing the DCEP and getting the DCEP. Now, this is October, what we should have done in the DCEP, and your DCEP is in iPlan. Let me get the, and you see how they have PAC information as well. for identification of PAC activities. So that's another piece that we have to make sure that we're doing on a monthly basis. So here in November, we're in the November DLT. It says continue to update the DCEP, right? And then district family engagement policy. I'm going to turn to that in a moment. And then it says signing the DCEP plan. We're not signing it during the November meeting because we haven't finalized the document yet. And that I'll send out the DocuSign in December. That's why I asked earlier, when is our December meeting? Because the DCP deadline, based on the last information that I got before I left, was December 15th. So if that hasn't changed, then by December 15th, we have to do the DocuSign and finalize the DCEP. And then it says here, consultation on the consolidated plan. We've already done that. So we're already, in place with that. Upload documentation to iPlan. It says to the portal not yet available. I think that now, by the end of the month, it will be available, and I'm supposed to start uploading it based on the emails that I've seen from Central. So one of the tasks that I have this week is collect everything with my district points for every district and put it into my folders and then share it with Central. And then it says DC progress monitoring. The check is December going forward, etc. So if you look at the calendar, and I asked the district also to look at the calendar every month when we're putting together our agenda, we should also check this because this gives us a heads up as to what New York State Ed might ask for. And I know that they're asking for this stuff for September, October, November. I don't know whether they're going to be asking for it going forward every month, but I know that Central wants us to collect everything and have it in place. So the timeline that I have on the DCP is December 15th. Superintendent Mike, did we get any other deadline from them while I was gone, or is that still your understanding? It's still
Okay,
December 15th.
Yeah, I have not received anything to contradict that, Gus.
Okay, okay. And all of the parent activities, one of the things that Esther and Jenny shared with me just before I left was a District 25 SEL Parent Support Series. And it's got a November 9th date here for a Spanish section. So any of these parent activities that we do as well, in addition to flyers, and meeting agendas and sessions and so on, any parent stuff is also important as well. So it shows that the district is doing the parent engagement actions that state ed and central expects as well, that parents are engaged both on the PAC level with Title I and just in general. So this is all new. It's stuff that I know you've been doing in the past, but we haven't necessarily collected it in a systematic way. But now we have to collect it in a systematic way, and I'm going to coordinate it along with the key district staff to make sure that we have everything that they ask for. And if anything's missing or they ask us any questions, we'll just go back and make sure that that we have it, or if we haven't, we're going to have it. One of the things that I know I brought up, I think in September, was SLT training. So I don't know whether you discussed that at all during the October meeting, but going forward, we need to plan that as we have in the past. I think did we discuss a possible December date? I don't remember. If that's gonna be the case, we need to determine when we're gonna do the SLT training, and you know, what that's gonna consist of. There'll be some new components in terms of collecting SLT information electronically for you know, SLT members to be aware of and schools to be aware of. So that's an additional piece, and I expect to get a special resource from Central. But because I have multiple districts, the earlier we can, you know, sort of give me a ballpark of when you want that training to take place. And it could be one time, it could be you know, several, it could be morning, you know, during the day and evening, could be both, whatever you want to do. I just want to get it on the calendar because with multiple districts, I don't want, you know, districts scheduling things at the same time on the same date, because then again, right now, it's my understanding that we can hold things remotely as we have in the past, but I know at least one of my districts wants to do it in person. So you can do it hybrid, you can do it in person, you can do it remotely. However, the DLT and the district, you know, wants to go ahead and do that. So the one piece that I'm a little surprised at is, according to the timeline, folks, that I believe I shared before I left from Central. It says here superintendents receive supportive feedback on their 23-24 DCP. The date I have here is October 30th. So it's now what? What date is it today? It's November. Um, what is it, the 12th or whatever? So I have to find out what happened, and at least District 25, which is probably the same for all districts, that feedback, I guess, has not reached you yet. So I have to find out what's changed with that. We do have a month, ladies and gentlemen, because the deadline, as I said, on the DCP finalization is December 15th. So between now and December 15th, hopefully you'll get the feedback. The district will share it with all of you. And then when we get back together in the next meeting in December, we can take all of that information into account and finalize things. So that's basically it on the calendar and these new procedures. Any questions or comments on anything I said, and then I'll go over to the parent engagement policy piece.
No, I mean, a lot of the things that you just mentioned, Gus, I mean, we're fortunate that, you know, many of the tools that you just talked about in terms of making things available and accessible digitally, all of those are already accessible inside of a folder that you know, you kind of know how we've organized that over the
Right.
years. And you know, so any of the access to those resources is readily available. So I'm not really too concerned about making sure that you have those. So you know, but
And Lewis is terrific. He has been supporting all of this Central stuff electronically, and you know, helping me download stuff, and sometimes converting it to PDFs or whatever we have to do in order to get that, you know, into the right places for Central. So, you know, he and I will deal with all of that
Gus,
stuff.
do you know who would have sent the actual feedback?
It should have come from Central. My understanding was that it was going to be twofold, that someone from my team was going to be reviewing the DCP, and that there was a rubric that was supposed to be utilized. And then we were supposed to send that information to Central, which is exactly what took place last year. And then the Central leadership team, as you will remember from last year, was supposed to provide some feedback, and that feedback then was supposed to reach you and the DLT and be taken into account. So obviously, in my absence, something happened. I don't know whether they've changed the timeline or whatever, this is my first working day back, so I will, either call Matt Zvillick or Central and find out what the latest is. Unfortunately, or for you, I got back from Australia over the weekend, and this is my first morning back. So I haven't been able to, and the meeting started at 9 o'clock this morning, so I wasn't able to touch base with anybody on this. I just assumed that the timeline was being followed. So obviously it's not. So whatever the delay is, I'll find out what's going on and get back to the superintendent on that piece.
Okay, thanks, Gus.
Any other questions? Okay, now Mike, I don't have it here in front of me, but I saw that you had it. If you could throw up the a piece on the parent engagement policy, that paragraph.
Yeah, you just need to stop sharing, Gus.
Okay, stop sharing. Stop sharing. Okay. Yep. One of the things that happened just before I left is that State Ed and Central did a review of the district parent engagement policies that were in the draft DCEPs. There is a section that speaks to early childhood. Now, you had information in your parent policy about early childhood, but the language was not exactly the language that Central and State Ed wanted to have in the policy. So before I left, what I did was I shared that language with Esther and Jenny and the superintendent's office, and asked that it be put into the policy. And what they're also asking for, in fact, I saw an email go out within the last week about whether that policy was going to be on the agenda. So obviously, it's on our agenda. We are discussing it. So I don't see it anymore, Mike, on the on my screen. Yeah,
That's my fault. Sorry.
that's okay. So DLT members, this is the language that's being put in. And if you could take a moment to just review it, it's pretty routine. I don't think there's anything that anybody would be, concerned about, but it does conform with the information that Central wanted to see in the engagement policy. I believe when I looked at all the other sections that everything else was there. But what I'll do today is I will also check with Esther and with Jenny on the draft and make sure that there isn't anything else that's missing. So what I'm looking for, ladies and gentlemen, is an approval from the DLT to go into the minutes that we reviewed the policy, determined that this addition needs to be put in, and that it's being put in. And then I will share that agenda item and minutes with Central to make sure that we're in compliance with this piece on the engagement policy. And this is what will go into the final DCEP that is publicly posted sometime after December 15th. So if you could all take a moment to read it, it's not very long. And if anybody else has any comments, please send them to the district. Remember, you all should have access to the DCP draft, and that's already on. And the district can also make the policy alone available to you by email, or it's on the shared website, so you could look at it. And if there's something else that you catch that I missed, that needs to be updated on the policy or the plan, or something that you feel needs to be added based on the excellent, parent engagement activities that District 25 is doing, by all means, let's do it. And it'll be in the revised version. Clear enough, Mike?
Yep. Oh, Shirley, go ahead, Shirley.
Can we personalize this section for our district?
Sure.
We did it for the other districts. We added stuff. I would add language access support, and we also added to establish their NISCA accounts from the very beginning.
Yeah. Why don't you just add whatever is the DLT determines, and between the district staff and myself, we'll make sure that it's put into the draft of the DCEP that's already an iPlan. I have access to it, and I can change things as the superintendents can as well, and that way it will be reflective of this meeting and this discussion. So Shirley, thanks for that input. It means that other districts are going through the same process, I guess, right?
Yes, I could confirm that. Yep. And the same thing with the feedback. They're behind.
Okay, you got any insight into what's going on?
They were just told that they did review it this month. They didn't say specific what time in the month. They will be sending out the responses back.
Okay, so it's still pending.
They received it. They reviewed it. It's just actually sending back the feedback.
That's good. That's good news then, that the review process has already taken place. It's just a matter of communicating that information to the district. Is that your understanding?
Correct.
Good. Good.
All right, guys, I actually just added translation/language support will be provided for parents, guardians to ensure access to key resources. We can certainly modify that and adjust that as necessary. I'll share this with everyone to review between now and next time, and we can come to an agreement, consensus on that language during our next meeting. I do think that we should start organizing around dates for the SLT training. I don't remember where we had done it when we had done it in the past. I feel like it was post New Year, but I could be wrong on that.
You're right. It usually is January, February.
I feel like we've done it in other times in November also. So, in my mind, I feel like I have both of those spaces where we've done them at either really early on or mid-year. Obviously, at this point, November is not going to necessarily work, but perhaps we can organize around our January or February time space to conduct that SLT training. Anyone have any thoughts around the whens for that? I would like to try to get something tentative in that space now, and then we can always organize around what we want to do. But if we can look at calendars perhaps and identify some dates. From what I remember, we did it right aligned with one of the DLT meetings, right? We use it as a DLT meeting.
That's what you usually do.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that, but that's been your pattern for many years.
Yeah, Dr. Mike, it takes place of whatever meeting in the month that we host it.
So
that might not be a good idea now, Mike, because unless you're going to also do the usual monthly DLT stuff, because remember the activities calendar that I just went over?
Yep.
They're going to look for that stuff being done and documented for that month, in addition to any SLT training. So I don't want us to be left behind because we didn't have enough time to do whatever was listed on that month. So it's your call, but I'm just pointing that out, that we're in a little different situation.
Yeah, I think we can kind of come to that agreement together around around timing. I know the meeting in January is January 8th. We can do two separate spaces, one a little bit after that, maybe on the 11th of January. We can do it in the evening. We can do it on Wednesday, January 10th in the evening, or I think we actually did one during the day and past out of school, in school versus virtual. Do you guys have any preference?
Well, I would say virtual will be the best because that's where most parents and teachers can come on, um, virtually, so they don't have to travel. Gives them more opportunity because we want to make sure that at least the school leadership team members, constituents, are able to attend one or the other meetings if we're doing two trainings.
Do we want to do during the day or after school?
Well, I know for the parents during the day is tough because most of them are working. So, I mean, two districts already did twice already, 29 and 28. They both did like an afternoon and an evening sessions. Um, 1, 4, and 7, something like that. To
So they did it 3 times, Shirley?
They did it twice.
Okay.
At 4 o'clock and then at 7. Both did it on 2 different dates. One was at 4 o'clock, the other date was at 7. They didn't do it back to back. 26, doing it on December 6th. I believe it's December 6th. I gotta look at my calendar. And they're doing it twice on the same day, 4 and 7. To give you an idea what other districts are doing.
What do you guys think? Maybe January, I have January 10th. You want to do a 4 o'clock, and we can do a 4 and 7. That works for me. Everyone want to look at their calendar, see if January 10th works as a tentative. Good, Rob. That'll work. Shirley?
Yes.
Yeah. Wendy? Yes. Gus, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I just jotted it down. I have to go over my calendar with all the districts, but I believe Shirley's right. 26 is the only one that I have a firm date for. So you would be the second one that I have a firm date for, January 10th.
Yeah, so why don't we put that in as January 10th? We'll do one at 4 and one at 7.
Excuse me, Al. I'm driving. What day of the week is the 10th?
It's a Wednesday, Lamar.
I'm gonna say yes. I think that they should work. Yes, but I'll let you know when I get out and I take a look at the calendar.
Perfect. Okay, so I put them both down as tentative. If there's any other reason why that will be a problem, we have some time to make some adjustments, but I would rather get it, on the calendar sooner rather than later. And then perhaps during our next meeting, we could organize what the content will be for that day. Okay.
Yeah, that's good. Mike, my last item is CEPs.
Yep.
Just a reminder, if you can remind all of your schools that the deadline for finalization is you're approving them November 30th.
Yep.
That is your approval date. November 17th, which is right around the corner, they're supposed to upload all of their signature pages.
Yep.
In DocuSign or scanning them and putting them in. So you're always, either the first or one of the first districts in the city to complete this. So I'm assuming that you'll keep your record intact, and we'll get all of our CPs finalized and certified by the superintendent for posting by the end of November.
Sounds good. Okay. That's all for you, Gus?
That's it.
All right, Eduardo, any report from high schools?
Yes, I have a couple of brief announcements. Good morning, District 25. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, share screen. Okay. I just want to start by sharing that we are going to have a family forum on November 28th. I will be sharing the official flyer with Esther and Jenny, and it's going to be about how to apply to and pay for college. So that's going to be November 28th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. So it's part of our monthly family forums. These are the rest of the dates. Also want to show we had our high school, Queens North High School Fair on November 8th in two sessions. Session one was 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Bryan High School. It was very well attended. I want to thank all of my colleagues in the other districts as well as District 25 for sharing our flyer. A lot of students came and met with the different high school representatives and learned about our wonderful ICT programs that are in place in our high schools. So that was November 8th. Session one was 10 a.m. to 12, and session two was 5 to 7. I apologize, I don't have the November 8 pictures. David Swift will be uploading these pictures, and then we'll be sharing these pictures on our website. So that's all the update I have from high schools. Thank you.
Eduardo,
Yeah.
in terms of the high school piece, everything that you do, I was pleased to hear that you said that you were going to share the information with Esther
Yeah.
and her team.
Mhm.
All of the high school activities and resources, take back the superintendent to also need to find
Mhm.
their way to the district and to me. So when
Okay.
state ed is monitoring us and
Mhm.
asking for information, it has to be K through 12.
Okay.
So I need to have the high school pieces in place as well, into the district databases. These, you don't have a PowerPoint this time, but those wonderful PowerPoints that you folks
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
in the past,
Mhm.
those also are proof of coordination on the part of, and anything that
Okay.
you're doing with parents needs to
Mhm.
be, documented as well. So
Okay.
going forward, let's put
Mhm.
our heads together and make sure that we have as much stuff as possible
Mhm.
to be
Okay.
able to. And I'm glad that you always have
Mhm.
a place on the agenda,
Mhm.
because then the agenda and the minutes show that the high school is being covered. Right, Shirley?
Yes.
That's
I know
correct.
Shirley follows this quite closely.
Yeah.
Yes. So David Swift and I will be working with you guys to make sure we have that high school piece in place.
Yeah, and this
Yeah.
meeting at
Yeah.
Bryant,
Yeah.
for example, I think that's a
Yeah.
wonderful, piece,
Yeah.
and it's multiple districts, so we
Mhm.
could put that into the mix as well. So if
Mhm.
they ask us about that piece, I have something to share with them.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Eduardo. Shirley, anything from high school?
Okay, so first is the citywide high school subcommittee update um agenda. So I had emailed it no, October 28th. The meeting was October 24th, the notes. So I'm just gonna briefly go over the hidden gem was a D75 school, P10X. Principal Rada went over District 75. That school serves pre-K to 12 across 10 sites. And there's one site in every geographic district in the Bronx. It gave us an overview of how many classes. There was 101 classes, 680 students, 5 inclusion programs, and 3 high school inclusion programs. and the include and shared information on the inclusion program at Bronxdale and Christopher Columbus campus. The slide decks are in the notes, so if you take at your leisure, you can review the information. And the main presentation was given by the Senior Director for Students in Temporary Housing and Foster Care, Wayne Harris, who went over questions regarding Office of Multilingual Learners and about about funding and emergency resources for our scholars and students in temporary housing and in foster care. He went over the SAM allocations regarding students in temporary housing. Talk about the Title I committees are very apartment and doing assessments to determine what families actually need, and then presented examples and non-examples of programs, descriptions from the Galaxy and the New York City Public School budget system. His email, his phone number, his slide presentations are also in the notes. And that's it for the Citywide High School Subcommittee. The next meeting is November 28th at 4 p.m. That's a Tuesday. Regarding Queens High School President's Council, again, I'm going to save the date. Elevating the high school voice, celebrating high school voice is going to be Saturday, May 4th. We're going to do a celebration of and showcasing Queens high schools. That's Saturday, May 4th. That will be, so for right now, is at Francis Lewis High School. The Queens Board President's Office had their high school fair on the 9th. The Queens UFT Parent Conference is November 18th. CPAC, regarding the DOE emails for parents, the parent organizations, CPAC was able to have a conversation with DIT and push back the transition process of these emails towards the spring, right? I'm looking for more as being part of the June transfer elections as the PAPTAs do their elections, Title I, etc. They're going to transition so they won't disrupt the beginning of the school year and the work and the plan that we have, especially using the Zoom. Most of us use the Zoom provided by that DOE email. Also, we are able to negotiate to have a shared inbox. Yes, still every parent leader is going to get their own DOE email, but the organization, we have compromised so the organization can have a shared inbox so people can email that share inbox, and only those authorized parent leaders will be able to access the share inbox, how Central already does, how New York City public schools already have shared inboxes. What else is? So our meeting is tonight. Motion Picture Tech High School is open for enrollment. It's part of the admission process. They're in District 30. Kevin Lopez is going to give a brief description of what is Motion Tech High School. They are partnering up with Frank Sinatra High School. Right now, there's no physical location for it. That is to be determined. But like last year, they started Gotham Tech, and this year there's the first grade, 9th graders. So admissions, they're accepting admissions for 9th graders for the next school year to Motion Picture Tech High School. And then we're going to have Karen Miller from Harlem Nights International, another like a fundraising idea or a CBO after school program. It's a basketball clinic for those who are another option for those schools. And then in partnership with Francis Lewis High School, Queens High School President's Council, and the Queens Public Library, December 9th, we're doing a workshop, a virtual workshop on grant writing and fundraising for parents, teachers, and students. And that's it for my updates. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Shirley. You guys got a lot going on over there in, in Queens High Schools, for sure. You just gave a whole bunch of really important info. I know CEC actually just had the Motion Picture Tech principal come and join the CEC meeting as well to talk a little bit about the exciting world that he's looking to bring into place for kids that are really interested in that field. So thank you so much for sharing that. Rachel, do you have anything that you want to say for our President's Council?
We have our meeting coming up this coming Monday. Lewis will be helping us out with the presentation on Zoom 101 since we have quite a few new PTA presidents. We will also be having Nathan from Team Awesome come and speak about the IEP process. Last month we had the Team Awesome members and was it Anna?
Yep, Anna and Melinda.
And come and speak about HMH, which I know from my school, I haven't heard as much as on the district level, but parents are wanting information. They're really, seeking that support with regards to HMH. So that was a very beneficial presentation. So that's what's coming up for District 25 President's Council.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Rachel. And I think it's something that we'll continue to do and organize for folks around HMH to make sure that there's clarity, for everyone that's involved, including our parents. So thank you for that. Wendy, anything from CEC?
Hi, good morning, everyone. So we had from last month, when we had 2 vacancies on the CEC Council, we were able to vote in a new member at our November meeting, Ms. Catherine Santora. She has already been very active with us. We had a CEC consultation with one of the parent coordinator potential hire meeting with PS 107, and she joined us. We visited PSMS 200, and Ms. Santora was able to visit a school with the other CEC members. So the new members have been very active with and has been she's been active and very friendly with the other members. We still have one more vacant seat on the council. If you know anyone interested, please submit their application. We had the district planning presentation at our November meeting, and at the December meeting, we will have the capital budget presentation from Mr. Benjamin Goodman from SEA. That will be on Wednesday, December 6th. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Wendy. Ms. Marino, anything you want to bring up, CSA? Anything shout outs?
Things are pretty good in the CSA world. I want to say that a lot of schools have been mirroring the actions of the district as far as those book giveaways. I know we're doing that as well next week. We'll have a lot of that older inventory that we're looking to share with our families, and that stuff has been really successful, surprisingly successful. It's been thousands and thousands of books. Thank you, Mike, for addressing those traffic safety concerns. I appreciate that. A lot of that is newer to us with the parents and the kids on scooters and traveling in. So thank you for noticing that and addressing it. But everything else here is pretty good. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Rob. Lamar, anything? I think Lamar was in transit. And Monique.
Good morning, everyone.
Hi, Monique.
Thank you so much. How are you?
Good, how's it going?
So I did discuss last month that we were going to have a district meeting for our union members. We have to move it into December, so I'm rescheduling a date for December. We basically really want to focus on having our members have access to the Board of Education retirement system, making sure everyone's signed up for that, the TDA, enrollment in our health and security program, discussing our lawyer services, our political action team, going over some of the chancellor's regs that pertain to our members. So I'm still looking for a school close to transportation. I was in talks with PS 201, but I don't think that's going to happen. So if there's anyone who's interested and has a school close to transportation within District 25, I'll put my email in the chat. Also, this is for the Office of Food and Nutrition Services. There's a new title that's been posted for cook/manager. That's for the cooks that are already in the kitchen, giving them an opportunity to rise up to the manager position. There is a huge shortage in Office of Food Service managers. So everyone's received it. They have to send their resume into their local district office, which is, District 25 is in PS 209. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Monique. Okay, so there's just one other thing that I wanted to mention to everyone, and if you guys are interested, I'd like to bring a couple of candidates to to meet with the DLT members that would serve as a deputy superintendent for the district. So I do have a few people that are interested and love for you guys to have an opportunity to meet each of these individuals as well, to offer some feedback to me in terms of the selection process of said individual. So I will put out some dates to you guys. I'm going to connect with the folks that have expressed interest. I'll put some dates out there to you guys, and if you are available, I'd love for you to be part of that conversation, as it is an important role for the district community to have someone in place that can support our goals and and expectations as a community. So if you're interested in that, please let me know, because I'd love to have each of you guys participate in. Obviously, it will not be like a regular DLT meeting, but we'll bring any of our DLT members together that would like to participate. It'll be interview-ish kind of space. A little bit less threatening than an actual C30 experience for any of you who have actually had to sit for one of those. Just to kind of get to know the candidates and get some of your perspectives on it. Okay, just quick thumbs up. Any of you that would have interest in participating in something like that? Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. So I will extend some dates, and provided that you guys and times, provided that you guys are available. I'm going to try to set that up sooner rather than later. As fun as it is doing this role on my own, it would be a lot better to have someone else joining along with me in the space. So so thank you guys so much for that. Now, having said that, we are almost at time, 6 minutes to spare before our 11 o'clock time frame. So we're doing pretty good on time the past couple of meetings. Do we have consensus to conclude the meeting? Yes,
Yes,
Shirley giving
motion
the
to
double
adjourn.
thumbs up. Wendy giving the thumbs up. Perfect, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time, and I look forward to seeing you real soon. Have a great day, everyone.
Good day. Enjoy your week.
Yeah, you too.
Bye. Have a good week.
Thanks, you
everyone.
too. Bye-bye.